Hello, I'm Pastor Dave, and this is our Advent devotion for December 1st, 2021. And his child was a stable, and his cradle was a stall. With the poor, and mean, and lowly, lived on earth our Savior holy. Yesterday, in the first part of verse 2, we really got the reminder that Jesus Christ is God. This infant, this baby who had that tender moment with Mary was God. But Jesus' circumstances on earth were very humble. And that would make people uncomfortable. Really, his entire birth story is very humbling. When we think about having children, we like to think of our children being born in a controlled setting. Born in the maternity wing of a hospital with added security, everything cleaned, people there to help. Or even if born at home, born in clean circumstances, in controlled circumstances. Yet here, Jesus Christ was born in a stable, cradle, and stall used for animals. That's normally not how we want to have our children. Not where the animals live. Not with placing them in a manger. But this is what happened. And it actually was for a very practical purpose. Sometimes you get the misunderstandings in the biblical narrative, where oftentimes the translation that we use says that they stayed in the manger for there was no room in the inn. And that conjures up images of basically pulling into a Motel 6 and having the desk manager say, sorry, we have no vacancy. I've had that happen to me before. But really, that's not how people traveled at the time. We didn't have the hospitality infrastructure we have today. Instead, oftentimes you stayed with family or friends. There were places that you could stay, almost like a guest house. But most of the places where you would stay in someone's home was like an upper guest room, where everyone would stay together. Now, on the opposite end, on the practical scale, when it comes to the birth of a child, how many people do you want in that room when that happens? You typically want someone there, parent, spouse, maybe a sibling. You want someone there to comfort you, but you don't want the entire family there with you, let alone people you don't really know. I mean, do you want your third cousin to be in the maternity room with you? Or with your spouse? And that goes beyond the ceremonial cleanliness rules and everything else. That guest room was where people were going to sleep for days to come. In many ways, the manger and the stable was a better place, more private. They would have shooed the animals out. Things could have been done appropriately. But that's not what this reflects. In all honesty, this reflects more of God humbling himself to reach humanity. Christ wasn't born in a palace, wasn't even born in a house. Like many others, he would have been born out in an area that could be easily cleaned. And it tells us that God didn't come through the grandest circumstances to reach humanity. God came in the humblest. And we see that proof throughout the Gospels and the ministry of Christ, where God came to reach as many as possible, came to reach the lost. And we see that throughout the ministry, especially when we get into Matthew 19, verse 24, where we are told that it's easier for a rich man to enter through the eye, or easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter heaven. God came to seek those who were lost, the meek, the lowly, the poor, the humble. And the fact that God was willing to humble himself so far to reach us should tell us how important we are to God. This is our Advent devotion for today. I hope to see you tomorrow.